Hi and welcome to the 14th lesson in the family topic. This lesson we're going to be focusing on divorce. So hopefully by the end of the lesson you'll be able to identify and describe some of the patterns and trends in divorce since 1945. We're going to look at some different sociological theories and look at the consequences of divorce for different family members. So as a starter, I've got three of the key theories that we're going to be looking at. So feminist, functionalist and Marxist. All we've got to do is try and match up the key terms to whichever theory they match to. So again, feel free to pause, work through this at your own pace. Yeah. Right, answers are, so for feminists, you would be looking for, there we go, you'd be looking for triple shift, dual burden, potentially serial packet family, depending on how you worded it, but you could also link serial packet family into functionalist. So then we've got instrumental role, which was linking to functionalist, and then we've got class conflict and consumer units linking to Marxism. So just as another little starter to get you thinking, so are the following statistics true or false? So number one, 42% of marriages end in divorce. Is that true? Is it false? In number two, in 2017, there were over 100,000 divorces of opposite sex couples, and this was a decrease. Number three, divorce rates are at their highest for 50 years. Number four, 3/4 of same-sex couples divorcing were male. Number five, in 2017, the average duration of marriage at the time of divorce was about 12 years. And number six, same-sex couples divorce has risen. So true or false? So there are only two on here that are actually false. So all of them are correct apart from number three and number four. So number three, divorce rates are at the highest for 50 years. Well, actually, divorce has fallen in recent years. The peak was about 1993, but since then it has declined. And with the same-sex couples, it's actually 3/4 of same-sex couples divorcing were actually female. So, yeah, they're more likely to experience divorce. So, what is this showing? So, if you were going to try and summarize what this shows about divorce, what is this actually saying about statistics today and divorce and people's attitudes to divorce? So, there are a number of key laws that, some of these we've already mentioned. So, for instance, the Divorce Reform Act we've talked about already. So, if you use page 115, I have put it on the next slide as well to help you figure out what were these laws saying and how has this impacted on divorce. So you might want to try and come up with which do you think has had the biggest impact on divorce rates and why. So there are your divorce laws. Again, pause, work through at your own pace. Which would you say has had the biggest impact? So obviously there are quite a wide range of reasons for divorce. So these are the four key ones that you would need to know. Again, for this lesson, in school, we would use the textbook. There is a copy of the textbook in the shared area, so you can have a look. But some of this you can probably use based on our prior learnings. So things about changes in status of women, how has that led to a rise in divorce? Secularization, how is that? So most of these actually you can probably have a good go at. So if we were linking these then to potential exam questions, here's one that you could have a go at. So identify and explain one factor that may have led to an increase in divorce rates. So basically you need to identify the one factor. So for instance, it may be changes in laws, and then how has that led to an increase in divorce? You can't list lots of different factors, so you can't say, oh, it's feminism, it's this. You've got to pick one factor and develop that. So consequences then. So if we look at for the husband and wife to start off with, Paul Burnham basically describes consequences for husbands and wives under 6 different headings. So you can see them now. What I would suggest is have a little think about which do you think is the biggest impact that people would feel from divorce? And do you think men and women experience divorce in the same way? So for instance, who is maybe more likely to take on more of the childcare, who is maybe more likely to experience things like economic disadvantage, things like that. So have a little look at the 6 different factors and think, right, who's going to experience these more? So again, I've put in a gap fill for you to have a go at. So the increase in divorce has led to an increase in lone parent blank. This percentage has tripled since 1971. However, the number of lone parent families in the UK has been something in recent years, from 3 million to 2.8. Around 1 in 4 of all families lived in lone parent families in 2017, with 9 out of 10 headed by something has led to an increase in the number of something families. Most children stay with their if she remarries. 84% of stepfamilies in Britain have a stepfather and a biological mother. So what would be the answers then? So basically, the increase in divorce has led to an increase in lone parent families. However, this is decreasing. Again, most lone parent families are headed by women. Divorce has also led to an increase in the number of reconstituted families, with most children stay with their mother if she remarries. So yeah, there you go. So what I would like you to think about is, what are the consequences for children? So obviously, you're all going to have opinions and kind of views on this. So what might be the consequences for children? So it could be good, could be bad. So what have you gone with? Now, there has been studies into the impact on children. So there is 7 kind of key factors that could impact on children. So I'd like to you to have a read of the different factors, like how children are affected. So, for instance, they might perform less well in school, and then add these to your mind map that you've already come up with. So, the second thing that you need to kind of think about when we're looking at outcomes of divorce, so obviously there are impacts on everybody involved, but these could be positive outcomes. So think about, for parents, children, and wider family, what might be the positive side of this? So again, try and use some of your common sense and think, what is going to be good? So for instance, it might be living in a family environment that has less arguments. So again, for parents, that's going to be less stressful. For children, you're not going to see those kind of arguments. Wider families, certain family members might get to see more of the children. And again, I've put in another exam question for you to have a go at. Identify and explain 3 consequences of divorce for family members. So this would be point, explain, point, explain, point, explain. So to try and come up with a range of answers. Now, an activity that you could potentially do, but if you're working on this at home, you might have to do this slightly different, is create a handout or a mind map about one of the theories of divorce. So what Marxists think about divorce, what feminists think about divorce, or functionists think about divorce, and try to include things like key concepts, any sociologists, and some images that kind of demonstrate your point. So then you would fill in the table based on your theory first, and then obviously the different groups would present. Now, if you are doing this from home, again, the textbook is in the shared area, so you can pick out key ideas and do this in a slightly shorter way if you wanted to. So, as an overview, as a kind of finishing summary point, functionists are going to see divorce as it kind of is needed for society to function. There needs to kind of be that process. Marxists would see divorce as a struggle over resources. Again, it's creating tension. How do you divide things? And feminists can see divorce as a power conflict between men and women. So have a little think, which theory would you agree with and why? So that is the lesson on divorce. Please let me know if you have any queries or worries. Thanks so much. Bye.